Hey everybody, it's Todd Espeland here from the Fort Wayne Youtheatre. I'm glad to talk to you all. I'm glad that you're all watching in on our first Youtheatre Thursday. Today's Youtheatre Thursday workshop is going to be all about shadow puppets. Now, right now we are in the basement of my house. We are in my studio. Some of you know this. In addition to being an actor and a director, I'm also a sculptor and a mask maker, using masks for theatrical purposes and for theater training and theater shows. So this is in my studio. I've got some of my masks around me. We're here at my workshop table and we're ready to get going. So, shadow puppets. First thing I want everybody to know about shadow puppets is basically what it is. You're probably at home wondering, what is shadow puppetry? Let me give you a good definition. Shadow play, also known as shadow puppetry, is an ancient form of storytelling which uses flat, articulated, cutout figures. So here's one of them. It's a flat, articulated, the head moves. It's cut out on black paper. This is a horse. And it is held between a source of light and a translucent screen. Okay? And what happens is the light will shine across the figure, making a shadow, and that shadow will appear on the screen. And you can do all kinds of theatrical things with these. They can fly. You can do all kinds of imaginative things with shadow puppets. Shadow puppetry is also incredibly ancient. It's an ancient form of theater and an ancient form of storytelling. It's had a really long history in Southeast Asia, so places like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia. In Bali, they still do shadow puppet plays on a regular basis. Youtheatre has been doing shadow puppets in its storybook shows and our storybook tours because it's a way for us to bring another form of theater storytelling to the tour and educate you more about theater and the possibilities of theater. So, today's workshop, we're going to do a couple things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to make your own shadow puppet theater with items from around your home. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to make, here I'll hold the horse up again, we're going to show you how to make your very own shadow puppet puppets, all right, out of items from your home. All right, so we're going to start making our shadow puppet theater. Now you're going to need a couple of things for your shadow puppet theater. I'm going to go over the list. You're going to need some tools first off, so pencil, all right? You're going to need some scissors or maybe an X-Acto knife or maybe a box cutter. When you're using the X-Acto knife and box cutter, make sure your parents are there with you. We don't want you to get hurt, so be careful with those. You are also going to need a ruler or some kind of flat thing you can use for drawing lines. And you're going to need tape and paper. The paper is the screen. Now, for the paper, you can go really simple and just use a piece of white copy paper. That's going to get a nice shadow on it. You can also use wax paper, if your parents use wax paper for cooking. If your parents also use parchment paper for cooking, that will make a good screen. This right here is a giant roll we have of tracing paper. This is what Youtheatre uses for its screens on its shadow puppet theater. All right, we bought this at Michael's, so you can always look for tracing paper if you want to order something through Amazon or Michael's. You can do that right away. And if you can see how really good this kind of lights up. All right, the paper that you want to be able to kind of, sort of see through if there's a lot of light behind it. But if you just have copy paper at home, that's going to work fantastic for you. The other thing that you need, which is very important, is you're going to need a box, okay? This is a Raisin Bran box. You can use the Raisin Bran box, that's fine. If you have a bunch of Amazon containers, Amazon boxes in your home, you can use the Amazon boxes as well, that's fine. For this particular demonstration, I'm going to show you with the Amazon box. So, make sure you have all of your items. Make sure you have all your tools. Notice I have all my tools right here on my workbench. Get them all set up. So, first thing you need to do is you want to tape off your box. You want to tape it off, tape off the sides. So with this Amazon box, I'm just going to make sure that the lid stays closed. The reason why you want to tape it off is you want to make sure that no light can come in from the outside except the light that you're shining into your theater. All right. If you decide to use the Raisin Bran box, you can always just tape off the one end that you open so that you could get to the cereal. And my X-Acto knife, I'm being very careful with it so I don't hurt myself. All right. I'm not going fast with it. So, tape off your boxes first. All right, what's next? All right, so the next thing you want to do is you want to measure, because you need to shine light in from one end, and you need to have one end be a screen. So, you want to measure that out. I'm taking this little measuring stick I have, and notice I'm just putting it right on the edge there. Okay, and I'm getting my pencil. Here's my pencil. Lay out your items so that you can find them easy. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a line. See, this is about 1 inch. All right. I'm going to just draw another line here. Boop, boop, boop. Draw another line here. And my 4th line here. Okay. So you want to do that to both sides of your box. All right. I drew. It's kind of hard to see. But I drew those lines, and right in the middle, cut. That way you know this middle part is what I need to cut out. Now, kind of like those baking shows on the Today Show when they do baking and the guy says, here's our items and we've got them all mixed up, and then they pull out the beautiful new pie or whatever they're making. I did cut out the back last night, so that's the back of it. And actually I'm going to make one other change to this. If this is the bottom of it, sometimes I want to put shadow puppets in this way, so I'm just going to cut that little section out. Notice I'm using my scissors. All right. And then there. Poof. Ta-da. So now I can put shadow puppets here. I'm going to cut out, this is the front of it, so I'll cut the front of it out. I want to have a perfect square, perfect picture frame here. For this one, I'll do 2 different kinds of cuts. I'll cut once with the X-Acto knife to show you what it's like, and then I'll cut once with the scissors, all right? So notice I'm being really careful, put it in, and I'm just cutting right along the line, very carefully, very slowly. I'm taking my time. Again, parents, be there if you're, when your kids are cutting, if you're having them use the X-Acto knife, or even scissors. All right, I'm cutting the side now with the X-Acto knife. Okay. Goes pretty fast. Right. Here, I'm going to give it a shot with the scissors. If you don't have an X-Acto knife, you can do it with scissors. Okay. Scissors are a little safer. And now the last cut that I need to do. All right, save this piece of cardboard, okay? You can use this piece of cardboard later for your shadow puppets, so save your extra bits, okay? Same thing would be, you do the same thing with the cereal box. So with the cereal box, you would just get a nice, draw your lines, okay? Drawing my lines. Alright. Drawing my lines. Pencil doesn't show up as well, so you might need to use a pen. Alright, I'm drawing my lines. And then cut. And then I would cut out this section. I would measure the back, draw my lines, cut that as well. Alright? So, cereal box is always awesome. So, I cut out the front, and now I have my shadow puppet screen. Alright, actually it's upside down. There we go. Now I have my shadow puppet theater. Okay, so the top and the bottom are taped off. My front, so I've got my perfect picture frame right there. And the back, make sure that in the back you cut this bottom section off because sometimes you're going to want to take a shadow puppet, find one, and you can put the shadow puppet in this way and have it appear. Okay, So cut the bottom off. The next thing that we have to do is we have to tape our screen, okay? So I've already pre-cut this piece of paper, all right? I'm putting it in, alrighty, and I'm making sure that it's all lined up, all right? And I am then gonna cut off, let me get some masking tape back here, hang on. You can use packing tape, masking tape works just as well. All right. So, and I'm just taping the edges of the screen in here. I'm just putting a couple of bits here and there. It doesn't have to be perfectly taped off. But if you want to perfectly tape it off, you perfectly tape it off. Okay. Make sure when you cut your screen that you don't cut it completely to the size of the box. Oops. Tape that came out. Actually, hang on, let's do this again. Started putting it in the bottom, so started putting it in the back instead of the front. Here's the front. There we go. Chris, you can always fast forward through some of this in post-production.
And there's our screen. Okay.
So, the last thing you need, which I didn't talk about in your needed items, because you didn't really need it for making the shadow puppet screen, you do need it for bringing the shadow puppet screen to life, is you need light. You need a light source. You could take a desk lamp, works great. You know, one of those desk lamps with the bendy necks. That can be great for your purposes. You could also see if mom and dad will let you just take a lamp from the house, put it on its side, and shine the light in. We at Youtheatre have one of these scoop lights, okay? And in the scoop light, we have a very powerful LED light. One of the reasons why we have this very strong LED light is our storybook tours, they go to places where you're performing inside with light on. So we want a really powerful light so that the shadow puppets will really show up good. All right, so once you've cut your theater out, once you've got your screen in, find your light just to make sure that everything works out great. All right. Okay, here's my really powerful light. I'm trying not to shine it in the camera, sorry. All right, and then you put your light behind it, and you can see that we have a shadow puppet screen, okay? It's a little harder to see the way the camera, you can't really see my shadow that well. Let's see if this will work. We're gonna have to do a close-up on this. You can kind of see the shadow. The camera adjusts for light, so, on my phone. But now you have your shadow puppet theater. Okay, so now that we've made our shadow puppet theater, either out of an Amazon box or a nice cereal box, I'm sure you get these around the house, it's time to move on to making puppets. One last note on the shadow puppet theater, you can make a really big shadow puppet theater. I'll show you Youtheatres in a little bit. But if you have a great big box like this, the process is still the same. Tape it off, cut the front, cut the back, put your screen on, and you're good. So you can make them as big as you want. Put these aside. So, for making your shadow puppets, you need a number of things. You need a number of items, so get those items out. You're going to need your tape, okay? You can use packing tape, you can use masking tape. If you have a hot glue gun, you might want to have a hot glue gun. Again, use it with the supervision of your parents. You're going to need some kind of cutting device, scissors, X-Acto knife. I don't recommend using a box cutter or a mat knife for it. Scissors are the best. X-Acto knife is pretty good too. Okay. You want to have a pencil. All right. Let's see what else. And then you're going to need paper, cardstock, or cardboard. Okay. So those are the things you're going to need. You're also going to need one other item in case you want your puppets to move. Like here we go. We've got this wolf right here, and his mouth moves. All right. To make the mouth move, to get that to work, you're going to need either the best is called a brad. Okay. You can see it here. It's little tiny. It's made of brass, and it's got the two little bits that once you stick it through the hole to keep the pieces of paper in place, the brads open up. Okay, you can get a brad. You can probably order those online. They're really cheap, and they come, I think, 50 to a package. But if you don't have a brad, if you're not going to order a brad, if you want to just do it with things in your home, you can use a flathead screw. Yeah, there you can kind of see it. Flathead screw is good. It's not that big. Okay, or a flathead nail. All right, this one's kind of hard to see, but you can use a flathead nail. That can also work. So, items to have. Now, once you have a script and you know what characters you want to cut out, select your first character. Now, what we're going to have for you, you can probably download it through the Youtheatre site. We're going to have 2 scripts available for you that you can use for your own shadow puppet stuff. One will be The Lion and the Mouse, which was an Aesop's Fables fable, and then there's also the puppets I'm going to show you today are from The Fox and the Horse, which was a Brothers Grimm fable. We'll have those scripts available for you. So you want to find your character. You want to find what character you want to use. So to find the character, you can do a couple of different things to find the actual silhouette that you want. You can go online, and if you search for silhouette and the animal name or the character name, there's lots of public domain pictures that you can find online. So here's one that I found that I liked a lot. This is for the horse, for the Fox and the Horse, which was a Brothers Grimm one. In the Fox and the Horse, there's also a wolf. Here's a wolf that I found that I really like that we used for it. Sometimes, and if you notice, these silhouettes, they're all black, all right? So you just cut around the whole silhouette using a knife, an X-Acto knife or scissors. You cut that little thing out. Like here is the horse, all right? And here is what I cut out. Whee! Okay, so you can use the horse. Sometimes you might find a picture you really like, and if you can see that, there we go. You can see that. What you would do is, even though it's not colored black, you would just cut around that, and so you could get the shape of this lion. All right. So go online, find the picture you want. You don't have to use a picture online. If you like drawing, if you want to have fun drawing out these characters, you could cut out, or you could draw your own character on a piece of paper. Okay, you could do that. You could also find one online if you don't have a printer. Right? You could find one online and trace that out for yourself. All right. Once you find your character, you can either print out, like I did here, print out the silhouette, all right? Or you could draw, just look at it and draw it out on a piece of paper, the silhouette you want. Okay, you can do that. And then, if you print it out on cardstock, that's great, because then it's ready to go. You just cut this out, and your horse is ready to go. What I did with these was I printed them out on paper first, and then I traced the picture I wanted onto really heavy cardstock. So I had the picture, and then I cut out the figure, and then I set it down on the cardstock, and I just traced around it for what I needed, and then I cut it out. The other thing you could do is you could just draw your own character. You could just draw your own character on cardstock. All right, so I have this manila folder right here, and let's see, I'm just gonna make a guy really quick, okay?
I'm gonna draw his head, neck, some arms. Okay, I'm drawing his person out. I'm gonna give him legs, some feet, and a 3-fingered hand. Alright, and kind of hard to see because of the way the light is, but trust me, there's a little guy drawn on here. I can see him back here.
So you can draw it out. That's great. Once you have your character either printed out or drawn out, okay? You can also use paper for this, but cardstock is a little better. Once you have your character printed out or drawn out, you're going to take your scissors, all right? So we'll get this little guy. I actually cut this little guy out yesterday, so I drew him out, cut him out, and now we have our little shadow puppet. So the cardboard's nice because it makes him flat, it doesn't get bent, that kind of stuff. Again, remember I told you to save cardboard from the front of your shadow puppet theater? We cut that out. You can also do that. You could also draw out your little person or print out your character, put it on the cardboard, trace it out, tracing them out, 3 fingers, feet, legs, all right, and now I'm ready to cut him out on the cardboard. All right, so you could do that too. Save your bits. Save your bits. These make really strong shadow puppets that will last for a long time. So you now need something to be able to show off your shadow puppet, to hold it in front of the light. If you notice, I've had this stick on here. You want to have some sticks. You want to have some sort of device to hold your puppet. So you can either use very thin dowel. Okay, again, I got this dowel at Michael's. You can order it. You might have some in your home. If you don't have thin dowel, that's fine. You could always use a pencil. If you have chopsticks in your home, if you have bamboo skewers in your home, anything that's basically like a long stick that you can then attach to the back of your puppet. You can attach your puppet stick, your puppet handling item. You can attach it to the puppet in a number of different ways. If you have a hot glue gun, please use the hot glue gun with your parents. But you can, if you see here, you can just put a dollop of hot glue on the puppet. So you take your hot glue gun, you get your dollop of hot glue on there, and then you would take your stick, stick it in the hot glue, and just hold it there until it dries. Okay. That's a great possibility. If you don't have a hot glue gun at home, which I don't, and because we are working long distance right now from the theater, I didn't bring our hot glue gun home with me. You can also just use tape. Tape's fantastic. I'm using this masking tape, I'm using this pencil, okay, and what I'm doing is I'm placing the pencil on the puppet, and then I'm putting the tape on there, and I am wrapping the tape around the stick. Actually, the pencil I'm using, let me put one on the other side so that they are fully attached. So I'm just putting part of the tape on the back of the puppet, and then I'm wrapping the higher part of the tape around the pencil, and yay, now we got a little guy. So, to review, get your character, look online that you want, look online and find some examples. You can either draw out your original, you can even do an original character. So you can then draw them out, or you can print them out. If you print them out on cardstock, you can just cut it out. If you print it out on paper, you can cut out the figure, draw it onto your cardstock, or draw it onto your cardboard, cut it out. Once you have it on something sturdy like this, you then want to put a stick on it. If you have a thin dowel like this, you can use that. Pencils are great. Chopsticks, if you got them hanging around the house, are great. Hot glue it on there by just putting a dollop of hot glue and sticking it there. Or what I did really simple here with this pencil is I just used some masking tape, and there's our little guy. Okay. Now earlier, I'm going to stand him right there. Okay. So earlier, I told you that you can have puppets that move. So this is a horse from The Fox and the Horse, which was a Brothers Grimm tale that we used. And the fox and the horse has a movable head. If you look right in the middle there, you can see that round brass dot. That is a brad, okay? That is a brad. And if if you look on the back, hopefully we can see this. If you see how where the brad is, it sort of flanges out like that. Okay, that's what the brad does. The brad goes through the hole and it opens up. Now, if you want your puppet to move, you are going to have to do a second version of your puppet. All right? So let's say we want this little dude to have arms that move. Okay, we'll give him one arm that moves. Okay, we're going to make it this arm that moves. So what you would do is you would cut out a second puppet. Here's my second puppet. Okay? And then, if you look, what I drew on the back is I just drew a circle. All right? Because this is going to go over this part of the puppet. I'll show you. So I have my little guy. I drew my little guidelines. And now I'm cutting out the arm I want to use. Is it the arm I want to use? No, this is the arm I want to use. Here we go. All right. Okay. So if you can see, I cut out the arm. All right. Now I got him right here. And we're going to cut off the arm that we want to move. Oh no! Alright, now I take my cutout arm. See, I'm going to put it over here just like this. Okay, I'm going to overlap this arm over the body of the puppet. That's why you want that round bit. That round bit, okay, that's going to overlap the puppet. Okay, I'm going to take this stick off for just a second. Okay, so it's like this. Now, what I'm going to do is, you could use a nail, you could use a screw, you could use your X-Acto knife, you could use the tip of the scissors. Make sure that you have a parent there when you do this so that you can stay safe. All right, I'm going to poke a little hole through both the arm and the body of the puppet. Here's my brad. You can also do this with a nail or a screw. Okay. I'm pushing the brad through the hole on the puppet. These brads are not staying together. There we go. So now the brad is through the hole on the arm. Now I'm pushing the brad through the hole in the puppet. All right. It's a little tight. There we go. And now it moves. Okay. So the brad is through there. You could also, let me take the brad out. If you don't have brads, took the brad out, taking a screw, poking the screw through. Okay. There we go. Now the screw is through, and he has a little arm that moves. So I'm going to reattach my body stick. Here's my body stick. Here's another pencil. Here's my pencil. Okay, so to make the body part move, you need to attach a second stick. So I have one stick on this horse to hold its body, and I have one stick on its head. All right, see? And that moves that. So I'm going to put a second stick on here to make the arm move. And now I'm holding my little guy with his body stick, and I'm making him move, his arm move, with the hand stick. Yeah. So that's a lot. This was a long little section. This is a long little section. So to recap, what you want to do is have a script with characters. Find out the characters that you want to make shadow puppets for. All right, and then you will find versions of the shadow puppet silhouette. You can look online. There's lots of public domain silhouettes you can use. You can draw your own if you want. Once you get the picture that you want, you can draw an original picture too. You don't even have to use something online. You can take it right out of your brain. So once you have the picture that you have online or the picture in your brain you want, you can do a couple things. Print it out. You could print it directly to cardstock, which is great. You could print it out on paper. If you print it out on paper, you are then going to put it on cardstock or cardboard, trace it out, all right? You could also trace it out on hard cardboard, draw directly on there. Cut out your figure, okay? Cut out your figures. Then you're going to attach your hand sticks to it, all right? If you want movable pieces on it, you will have to make 2 versions of your puppet, okay? And then you will have to attach with a screw or a brad or a nail the part of the puppet that you want to move, and then you add your sticks, okay? And now you've got your shadow puppet. Here's another one that moves. I showed you him earlier. It's the fox, or sorry, it's a wolf. His mouth opens and closes so he talks. This little fox, his head goes up and down, and here is his tail, okay? So the tail would get attached with brads so that the tail and the head can move. Those are your shadow puppets. So now you have a shadow puppet theater and you have shadow puppets. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to look at shadow puppets in action. Kind of hard to see me right now, but what you're looking at is the Fort Wayne Youtheatre's Shadow Puppet Theater. As you can tell, it's much bigger than the Shadow Puppet Theater I showed you how to make. We made it out of a big box. The Shadow Puppet Theater we made together was only about this big. All right, put it on top there. Hi. This is a much bigger shadow puppet theater. The reason why we made this shadow puppet theater this big was because some of our shows were performing at schools for 300 students. And so we wanted to have a big enough shadow puppet theater that everybody could see, okay? And that we could use some bigger puppets and stuff for. Here, I'm gonna take the shadow puppet theater off the top so that you can see my face up here. Hi. All right, so I'm showing you it this big to show you kind of how the shadow puppet theater works. In a second, I'll come and get my phone camera and we'll show you back here as well, okay? So, we have our light. You can see right over here. Oop, mask fell down. You can see right here, we have our light. I'm gonna put the light into the theater. Here we go. Notice how the shadow puppet theater really lights up, okay? Now, I'll show you a couple of puppets in front of it. It won't be perfect because my iPhone camera tries to adjust light for the whole picture, but you'll be able to see. So I'm gonna get the horse shadow puppet. So what I do is, I get the puppet and I put it in front of the light. And now we have the horse, okay? So you can see the horse, and I'm making the head move on it. Now, the cool thing about this is if you put the shadow puppet close to the screen or away from the light, the puppet gets small. When you drag the puppet back to the light, the puppet gets big. Gets a little blurry too, right? But it gets big. So you can use that to show all kinds of, you can do that for all kinds of theatrical things. Like here's, it's a little hard to see because I'm trying to do two puppets. There we go. There's the wolf puppet. So I could make the wolf puppet really big. Let's see, is that working? Yep. And then have it come in and get small. All right. You could have the puppet of the horse gallop in, and then the horse is smaller. All right. You could use it to make a small puppet really, really big. Let me see if I can find one. No, I can't. But you get the picture. When you are close to the screen, the puppet is small. me fix its head. Yep, it's small. When you are close to the light, the puppet gets bigger. All right? Here, I'm going to show you back here too. Christopher Murphy might work some magic in post-production and fast forward me. I'm not sure. All right. Now we are looking at the inside of the puppet theater. All right. There's my light. Okay. And the light is shining into the puppet theater. And here's my horse puppet. It's hard to see. There's my horse puppet. All right, so if I move it towards the screen, it gets small. If I move it towards the light, it gets big. So, we've gone over a lot of different things today. We've shown you how to make your own shadow puppet theater out of a box at home and items that you can find in your own home. We have shown you how to make your own shadow puppets out of items in your own home. And now it's a chance to take them all and turn them into a little piece of theater for yourself. So, we're going to have scripts available for you. We're going to have The Fox and the Hound, and we are going to have available The Lion and the Mouse. One is from Brothers Grimm, the other one's Aesop's Fables. Or you can go ahead and do your own scripts. You don't have to rely on us. You're pretty creative. You could find a story that you would like to adapt and characters that you would like to adapt. If you decide to use ours, what you're going to do after you make your shadow puppet theater is you're going to find your characters, like this is the little fox from The Fox and the Horse, and cut them out, make shadow puppets of them, and you can begin playing with your very own shadow puppet theater as well. The best part about this is you don't have to be memorized. You can have your script in one hand and you can have your shadow puppet in the other. If you have more than one character on stage, as it were, you can get your parents, your brothers and sisters to help you out with that. One of the things we would love for you to do at Fort Wayne Youtheatre is if you can take your creations, your shadow puppets, anything that you decide, plays that you decide to put on with your shadow puppet theater, take a photo of it, maybe do a short video of it, and post it to our Instagram or to our Facebook page. We would love that. We want to share what you are doing with the rest of the Youtheatre family. So, we hope you enjoyed the first Youtheatre Thursday. We hope that this has been a fun workshop for you to watch, and more importantly, we hope that these are going to be fun for you to make. So, go out, have fun, and enjoy playing with shadow puppets. Bye.